Alrighty then. Hey, we're talking about mini mods. Yeah, it's a new and upcoming thing, as far as popularity goes anyway, in the vaping world. They've been around for a while. You've always had things like your iStick Mini and whatnot. But only over the last, I'd say, 3 to 6 months have the mini micro stealth mods like these really gotten popular. I've always been a big advocate of those. I like them. I just, like the form factor. I've got tiny hands. I'm 5'5", and I've got, hands that kind of go along with that height. I like a small, stealthy mod. And I had the Council of Vapor Mini Volt, which if you watched my previous video, my What's Going On video, you know that it's on its last leg. And I think that's even being generous. It was more like its last toe. I really had to ghetto rig this thing. The bottom's popping out. It's being held together with hot glue. My charging board is dead on this, pretty much. And I wanted to replace this with something else. I threw around the idea of picking up one of these all-in-ones. I wanted to get something rugged for work, and decided on maybe I'll pick up an Ego AIO box with the 2100 milliamp hour battery. Ultimately, I decided just to replace this with something a little bit more analogous and maybe with a couple extra features. So I picked up this, very slightly larger. Today we're going to do a hardware review on the Eleaf iStick Power Nano. Alright folks, check it out. Alrighty YouTube, welcome back to another review. If you hear a little bit of background noise, pay no attention to that. It is quasi hot as hell out here in Charleston right now. High today is about 92, something like that, and I've got the air running, so you might be able to hear that in the background. Also, I've got the spawn upstairs being occupied by the TV, so if they decide to argue with each other, you might hear some of that. Anyway, not here to talk about any of that. We're here to talk about this guy and its replacement. Council Vapor Mini Volt. I used this thing extensively from about, February of this year, and it took some abuse. If you look at this thing, the button, the firing button is worn down to like a copper sheen. I've worn this thing out so much. The buttons are worn out. The 510 pin has seen our better days. It still works, though. Here's the problem I've been having with it. The Mini Volt is set up in such a way that you've got your main board over here that actually does all the work, and then right about here is a charging board that connects to this USB port. That board was giving me problems. I initially thought that maybe the connector, the USB plug itself was loose, maybe needed to be soldered, and that wasn't the case. As it turned out, the board itself is faulty, and it's about, it's on its last toe. And before this thing actually went tits up and completely died, I decided to replace it. Now, like I said in my previous video, the What's Going On video, I tossed around the idea of getting the Ego AIO. Ultimately, I decided against that because I wanted something a little bit more hand-friendly, small guy, little girl hands, and also wanted something with a few features in it that the Council Vapor Mini Volt didn't have. I ultimately decided on this guy, the iStick Power Nano. I've owned a couple of Eleaf products in the past, and they're not the highest quality things on the planet, but I've never had any major issues. Sorry, beverage break. Yeah, I've never had any issues with any type of Eleaf product. I've heard some stories about specifically the Eleaf iStick 30 and the iStick 50 watt having some battery issues. Never owned either of those, so I never had those issues. I was a happy owner of the original iStick Mini 10 watt, which was a voltage regulated only device, and happy owner of the Eleaf iStick Mini 20 watt, which took the voltage regulation up to 5.5 volts and added wattage regulation up to 20 watts, provided you were at 1 ohm or above in resistance. I love that thing. I used the hell out of that until I got my Mini Volt, and I actually gave it to somebody, and that thing's still in service. It's working right now. So anyway, given my history with the micro iStick products, I decided on this. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it and show you what's in the box, show you some features, show you a couple things that are going on with this, how to navigate, how to do a few things. And yeah, we'll go from there, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinion and recommend as to whether or not, if you're looking for this type of product, whether you should get one. Alright, sorry for all the fiddling around here. I was trying to reload the box. So anyway, there's the box. Typical iStick packaging. Got the little clamshell guy that, or not the clamshell, the guy that just comes off. Right in the front, you got the little cutout for your little guy. We'll get back to that in just a second. That pops off. You've got your typical Eleaf packaging with the little pull-out box. Inside, you got a fairly nice USB cable. I think this is probably just for charging. This has nothing as far as firmware upgradability on the website or anything. Wouldn't surprise me if it is, though, just because it is a temperature-controlled device, but who knows. Wouldn't surprise me if it isn't either. And then your typical Eleaf quasi-manual. It's just a little pamphlet that unfolds, and honestly, it does tell you everything that you need to know about this, provided you have some reading glasses. It's a little teeny tiny guy. Nothing special about this. If you've ever used an iStick product before, you can navigate around with this, and particularly if you've used any iStick product that has temperature control, you're going to be right at home with this. It works very much the same as, say, the iStick 40-watt TC, with a couple extra new features. Now, the reason I wanted to get this, and I got it in the brushed stainless steel, is I wanted it to go along with my Pico RTA. I'm still really digging this thing. And before we get too far, show you the top before I put an atomizer in there. And yes, that is a spring-loaded 510 pin. It's a typical Eleaf / Joytech / iSmoka / big conglomerate 510 pin, though, so it's the same as any of the other pins. I haven't, you may have some issues with certain atomizers kind of sticking up a little bit. That's just a Eleaf / Joytech thing, more noticeable on some atomizers than mods than others. Anyway, my Pico RTA screws right down. Sits nice and flush, no issues, and it really looks the business on this. I think the brushed stainless steel on that and this really complement each other, and the black drip tip of my choice with the smoked acrylic just really look nice. So there's the top of it. You got the couple of little screws holding this thing together. Bottom, similarly, you got your USB port, all your markings, and blah blah blah, and your couple of star screws holding all this together. I have not taken it apart because it's still under warranty. Maybe after that's expired, I'll take a look at this. Aside from that, you got a quasi-unibody design. I don't think that it's stainless steel. It's probably an aluminum alloy or something. And on the front, you've got your power button, up and down buttons, mode button, and right in the front there, nice little screen. I've currently got it in voltage mode. And yeah, I'm going to show you a couple things that you just need to know about this. And right off the front, we're going to get into one of my major gripes about this. Two major gripes, actually. One, USB on the bottom. I don't know why Eleaf does this. I don't know why they put the USB charging port on the bottom of their devices. I cannot set this thing upright and charge it. The USB port should be right there, or right there. Move some stuff around. Do what you got to do. Other manufacturers under the iSmoka conglomerate can do this. For example, the eVic Basic, which I've also got coming in and will be reviewing at some point if the thing ever comes from China. It's got the charging port on the front. Yeah. Aside from that, the biggest gripe about this is that mode button. I've got tiny fingers. Look at that. I mean, I'm covering up all three of these buttons at the same time. And changing modes isn't a big deal. You get your little fingernail in there, and you hold it down, and the modes just start rotating. In fact, let me go back to power mode here, and this is a quasi-niggle with this thing. It takes a while to loop through and get through all the modes. And I'll show you all the different modes. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way first. Alright, so you've got, obviously, see if I can get over here to this button, power regulation mode right there. Sorry, I gotta find this little tiny button. Yeah, there's your wattage regulation, and it gives you all the information you need. Resistance, voltage, battery indication, and wattage. That's all you need to know. Hold the button down for a little while. BP, bypass mode. So based on your resistance, it's going to give you direct voltage output to your atomizer, and here it comes out to 20.7 volts, or watts rather. If I continue to vape this down, it's going to drop and drop and drop. I've apparently got 3.67 volts left in this battery. Not quite a full charge. This is the Eleaf / Joytech Smart Mode. I've never had much luck with this. Supposedly you can adjust this and it gives you up to 40 watts on the fly. Nah, I've not ever had the best of luck with this, no matter what type of metal I've ever used. But if you're into that, there you go. And here's your temperature regulating modes. Nickel, all your standard information. Resistance, wattage, temperature, and Fahrenheit. This does round robin to Celsius. TI, stainless steel, where I've been rocking it, and you'll notice that I've got a little lock on there. And to lock and unlock the resistance, you're going to simultaneously, and this is where this button becomes an issue, you're simultaneously going to press the up and mode button, and I can't do this on camera because it's so freaking small. Oh, actually, disregard. The up and mode button, down and mode button allow you to adjust your wattage. So I'm going to try to see if I can do this. And there you go. I've changed the wattage to 33. Let me drop that back down. I mean, you see what a pain this is going to end up being. Your up and down buttons in temperature control, obviously, change your temperature. Simultaneously pressing up and down, lock your resistance, not resistance, but your temperature. And in wattage mode, it locks your wattage. So if you go to up and down, it gives you the lock. If you turn your device off, and you play around with your buttons, up and power, that should bring you into your TCR mode. Whenever you're done, just press again. Turn the device off, 5-click on and off, standard Eleaf fare, down and power button while the device is off, should flip the screen if it's a standard Eleaf device. Actually, nope, that gives you your voltage output. Right, so let's turn this on. Yeah, let's try up and fire. I refuse to look at the manual. There we go. That's how you lock and unlock your resistance. So you lock your resistance in, and down and fire should go into stealth mode. There we go. Stealth on. So you fire. Nothing happens unless you do a quick tap. There you go. And there we go. Stealth off. And if your device is off, I think if you press the up and down button simultaneously, it should flip your screen. And this is going to be really hard to do on screen. I mean, that is one of the fallbacks of having a little microscopic device like this. Yep. There we go. Yep, flips the screen. And I guess for the purposes of this review, I'll just leave it as it is. Right there. Anyway, yeah, nothing else to it. Different modes that you've got. You're in stainless steel right now. I've already showed you nickel, titanium, M1, M2, M3, back to wattage. And like I showed you earlier, those M1, M2, M3, they're all modifiable if you turn the device off. Yeah, dead simple for what it is. So, what is this thing? Pretty straightforward little microscopic device. Excuse me while I'm looking at this, I'm getting it set back to stainless steel mode. And it does what it's supposed to do. So some features. The thing measures let me take the atomizer off. 55 millimeters, top to bottom. 38 millimeters, side to side. 23 millimeters thickness. Take a 22 millimeter addy, like this. Pop it on there. And if you look at it head on, see the ever so slight amount of underhang on there. If you were to take a 23 millimeter atomizer, it would actually fit on here flush along the sides. But if you look at the side of the device, it's slightly beveled in. So it's made to fit perfectly with the 22 millimeter addy, like this one. So that is what it is. Fits in the hand pretty comfortably. Compared to the Mini Volt, they're identical in height. Actually, it's about a millimeter shorter than the Mini Volt. Thickness, almost identical. This has got about a millimeter on it. And width, it's got a couple millimeters on the Mini Volt. Weight-wise, the Mini Volt weighs more without an atomizer than this does with an atomizer. So the Mini Volt does feel a little bit more solid. Not to say that this feels cheap. I mean, there's no button rattle. The thing's pretty well put together. The top and bottom are made of plastic. They're not Delrin, but that's going to give it some scratch resistance and durability and blah, 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 blah. It's made to be cheap. It's made to be easily wearable. It's made to go into your pocket and hang around with keys and stuff. And that's one of the reasons I picked this stainless steel brushed finish. Because if it's going to get scratched up, it's not going to show. The logo on the side, the iStick Power Nano, and the Eleaf on the other side, I'm sure those are going to wear off with time, and that's fine. Because the device isn't painted, I think it'll look perfectly fine. All that stuff on the bottom, that's also going to wear out. Whatever, I'm not concerned with that. I want this thing simply to work. So, yeah. Performance, how does it do? Well, I've got my my Pico RTA on here with a CLR rebuildable coil. I've got a 0.76 ohm stainless steel coil, about 7 wraps, something like that, 28 gauge. Rocking it at 30 watts, 360 degrees. Here we go. That's a 30 watt temp control vape. This thing does put out. As far as I can tell, the temp control is pretty accurate on this. I mean, this feels like a nice, cool vape at 360 degrees. And yeah, that's about what I like to rock. I'm using a naturally extracted tobacco juice, and I don't like burning the stuff. So how does it look with other devices? Alright, let's take it out of stainless steel mode and take it into power mode, because all the other atomizers I'm going to hook up to this are Canthal. With the exception of this guy, actually, but yeah. Got my Hobbit RDA, probably with a superbly dry coil. Oh, I don't know, a little bit of moisture left on there. Should I be brave and try it? Yeah, why not? 35 watts? I don't think so. Nope, got it locked. Unlock, and let's drop this down to a reasonable 25. 25 watts, 4.41 volts, 0.78 ohms. Nice. For however long that juice was sitting in there, it's still doing well. Nice little flavor chasing setup, and a good way to test juices with this particular RDA. This is a 17 millimeter RDA. It's obviously got a whole lot of underhang on this thing, but this makes a good setup for taking up to a e-cigarette shop just to test our juices. Not bad, not bad. What else do we have here? I'm going to use something that's probably going to be very underpowered by this particular mod. Got my SXK Nebula TD with like the little scoosh of juice left in it, but that ought to be enough. This is a Canthal. Disgusting looking build. I think it's about time for me to re-wake and dry burn that. Running at 0.69 ohms, and I think I'm going to need the full 40 watts for this guy. 40 watts, 5¼ volts. This is going to have a hell of a ramp up. Yeah, that's barely doing it for this. I mean, it's just not enough power. So if you got some crazy build that's got a shit ton of metal on it like this isn't going to do it. However, I'm going to go to one of my old standbys. Serpent Mini, my stainless steel one. And I've still got that same coil in there that I built for my high resistance, low wattage video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. 1.19 ohms, 40 watts, 6.89 volts. You got it full of juice. Let's see what you can do. Similarly, this is going to have a bit of a ramp up, but it doesn't seem like it's doing too bad right now. Not bad at all. How would it do with lower? Let's go down to 35 watts and see if this is still pushing a sufficient amount of power. 1.19 ohms, 6.45 volts, 35 watts. Just barely warm. Very nice. Yeah, so pretty much no matter what you're doing with this, as long as you keep in mind that you're not going to go really, really crazy with the wattage unless you build low and go to bypass mode, you shouldn't have any issues. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I've had it for about a week now. Didn't want to test it or unbox it or anything right away until I, had enough time to get a informed opinion about it outside of, oh, this looks cool. I'll say it's durable. The brushed finish has made it a bit more durable than otherwise it would have been. And yeah, it's your typical Eleaf product, and it just simply works, and I'm pretty happy with it. I picked this up at VapeNW. They were having a Labor Day sale, and I got a 20% off, shipping and everything else included. Rather, I think it was like $22 and some change for just the mod. I considered getting the kit with the Eleaf Melo III Nano. However, here's my thing. I am into rebuildable atomizers, and I actually don't own anything right now that has a stock coil. So to that end, I didn't want to use the Melo III Nano. It's you can get an Atlantis rebuildable coil or an Atlantis compatible rebuildable coil. Eleaf actually makes them, but I don't know. It just didn't lend itself as well to rebuilding as this particular CLR coil that Joytech puts out, in my opinion anyway. I mean, this is my old standby coil, 0.76 ohms, stainless steel, 360 degrees, 30 watts. And it's chucking. So for my rebuildable coils and my the way that I work, this is actually bringing a new life to my vaping, because I've been hovering around stainless steel coils for quite a while. And I just like stainless steel. Even in power regulated mode, I think it tastes better. I think it's a cleaner flavor. I use Canthal if I'm going to be making some crazy Clapton build, just because it's easier to work with. It's softer. Stainless steel is really, really tough to twist up properly. Yeah, overall, what do I think about this? Let's start with cons. First and foremost, these buttons are microscopic. I mean, look, I'm a little dude, and I can cover all three of these with a finger. A lot of these require multiple button presses, up and down, up and mode, down and mode. You know, doing the fire and whatever, that's not that difficult. But doing all these multiple things on here, it's tough. It really is, even with small fingers. If you're a bigger guy, that might be an issue. 2, USB port on the bottom. I don't get it. I don't know why manufacturers are still doing that. But whatever, it's not a huge deal because every single other Eleaf device has done that with the exception of their big, fat daddy devices. If you hear a little bit of crunching here in the background, please forgive me. My cat decided to come out and eat lunch right now while I'm doing this, of course. Really, that's about it. I do have a quasi con on this, and it's more of a curiosity with me. Eleaf and Joytech released this product and the Evic Basic, which I'm also getting here presumably some point in the next couple of weeks if it ever ships out of China. They released them at the same time. The devices are exactly the same size, and they presumably use a very similar board. The Evic Basic uses the nice, sexy Evic VTC screen, and it has a 1500 milliamp hour battery in a frame exactly the same size. I don't know why this doesn't have a 1500 milliamp hour battery. If it fits in the other device, it should fit in this device. So that's more of a curiosity with me, and why do they do it? Now, this has an 1100 milliamp hour battery. How does it compare to this with its 1200 milliamp hour battery? I actually get more battery life out of this, even in straight wattage mode. If I switch over to temp control, like I've got right now, my battery life increases even more. So it's a very battery efficient device for what it is. Temperature wise, like I said, as far as I can tell, it's accurate, and it's pretty efficient. Pros. It's small, it's compact, and it has a durable finish, provided that you get the brushed stainless steel one, the brushed silver finish. It's going to wear nicely in the pockets. The top and bottom are not painted black. They are just straight black plastic. If they get scratched, it's not going to show paint or anything underneath or above or whatever. It's not going to look god-awful. I think this is going to end up being a pocket-friendly, wearable, a wear-friendly, rather, device. I haven't had any issues with screwing atomizers down on top of this and having, it stick up, but it could be a con in that it uses a standardized Eleaf 510 pin. So kind of keep that in mind. You might end up having standard Eleaf issues with that. Pros. Yeah, it just works. It just works. It's tiny. It's friendly. Hand-friendly, pocket-friendly. And if you like mini mods at all, I think this is a good one to add to your arsenal. I'm going to stop rambling about that right now, and just leave you with this. Support advocacy. August 8th has come and gone. Look at my video about saving vaping, and donate to Rip Tripper's fund. He set up a fund directly to the American Vaping Association. He doesn't see a penny of it. None of us see a penny to it. I've donated money. I think all of you should as well. If you're at all passionate about this, you owe it to yourself, all the other vapors out there, and anyone who might in the future become a vapor, to donate a couple of bucks. If you can afford one of these, if you can afford a bottle of juice, if you can afford whatever in vaping, you can afford a 5-spot, and you can put that into the AVA. They'll take anything, $1, $5. If you can afford $100, great, donate. It's going to help us, and it'll help us out a lot. So I'll get off my soapbox with that. Bottom line with this guy. Nice, small, compact, user-friendly device with god-awful buttons and questionable USB placement. Standard Eleaf fare, it works, and it's got a hell of a lot more features than the old iStick Mini. So yeah, with that, if you're interested in a small, compact, stealthy device, one of these micro mods, you could do far worse than this thing. And whenever the Evic Basic comes in, I'm going to review that and give you my thoughts on that as well. I also have the Goblin Mini V3 coming in. I think that's what the holdup is. I think they're giving me the newer version with the removable spitback protection, I hope. And that's what's holding up the device, or the shipment right now. Anyway, nice little device, folks. You can do far worse than this. So vape on and vape safe. See ya.